Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for day 2 of this exciting test match between South Africa and the West Indies. And what started as a very good first day for the South Africans actually ended not as great as it could have. They are sitting 314 for 8 as we currently sit. We saw a brilliant opening run partnership between Algar and Markram. Got continued quite nicely between Markram and De Souza, but then the downfall started to happen, and unfortunately, the captain's curse has hit Temba Bavuma. He is now the captain of South Africa rather than Algar. Algar got 71. Bavuma, a second ball duck from Alzari Joseph. But currently at the crease, Marco Janssen and Gerald Kutsia. First ball of day 2 going to be balled by Alzari Joseph, and it's a bouncer to start us off. And it's called as a wide, so that's not actually our first ball of the day. And that's the thing, Marco Janssen is around 2 meters tall, so for it to go over his head, probably taking quite a bit of effort from Alzari Joseph, who did have a very good day bowling yesterday, managed to get himself the 3 wickets, 16 overs bowled, and he did go for the 61 runs. West Indies actually spreading out those wickets relatively evenly other than Joseph. We did see Kumar Roach get himself 1, Mayers got 1, Gabriel got 1, and Jason Holder also got himself a wicket. Hamish Ball India all out for 108, and Australia 35 for 1 on day 1. Will you be covering that again, spinning wicket? Says Coning, I think by the time I get to the stage of being able to cover it, the test match is going to be over. Because, like you mentioned, India bowled out very cheaply, and then it looks like the pitch is about a day 8 pitch already, and it's day 1. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to last very long, that test. I have a feeling that this one should be the longer of the two, but it was a nice straight punch down the ground. Time from Janssen. Manages to get himself the boundary, moving up to the 21 runs now. Hey, Hamish says, Connor, welcome in, mate. Just out of the reach of Alzari Joseph, out to his left-hand side. Did push it a little bit, though, Janssen. Got to be careful with that. Maybe why it doesn't end up lobbing a tad. But one thing's for sure, he can bat. He could get himself a 50 hit if he can get himself set and not panic too much. Looks like now Brathwaite just making a few changes to the field for the West Indies, even though we are only 2 balls into the day. And I got a goal of 30 subscribe. Well, you got the goal of 30 subscribe, so congratulations, mate. And also, yeah, Hamish correctly said, very short test wicket. It will go for only 2 days, says Coding. Yeah, and it's a shame because, like, I thought it was down to a little bit of Australia's good bowling. Like, Mitchell Kuhnemann coming into the side, and he got 5 wickets, and I was happy for him. But then you see that India are also able to pick up wickets freely, and you wonder, I mean, that Khawaja LBW shout that we saw just before, I've actually been watching the test before this one. Like, that ball should have bounced to probably 3/4 of the way up the stumps. It bounced about this high off the ground, and it went under his bat. Marnus Labuschagne, he could have been out, but Jadeja bowling the no ball. What would be called as a rookie mistake, really, but could be an extremely costly one. Kutsia have the strike now. He's sitting on 11 runs off 5 deliveries, so he's gone for a little bit of a tonk in the early stages. Maybe what's happened here? They're actually going to be taking the new ball now for the West Indies. Yep, second new ball has been taken, so they actually decided against it last night. Only getting through 82 overs, though, which was a little bit slow for the day. Day 2, sun is out. And I believe we're going to get to see the West Indies in action at some point throughout today. You like to think so anyway, unless, of course, somehow the South African partnership builds up an extra few hundred runs. 3 slips and the gully at the moment. Getting it to swing away. Great shot. Once again, getting it away to the boundary here. Some great work from Kutsia, who has already got himself the 3 boundaries. He's got himself 3 fours and only 6 balls. He's certainly not messing around. Great shot as well. It's as if he's just having a net session anytime that is slightly pitched up. It's a new ball as well, so it was swinging away and he middles it out to the deep. 4 runs nicely. played off the front foot. Although you'll wonder whether or not with this attacking style, is it only a matter of time until he ends up losing his wicket? We will try our best to keep you guys updated with Australia versus India as well as it happens. Currently 38 for 1. Currently sits. And morning, Kiwi lads. How you doing? Cricket commentary, fabulous. Can't wait. I'm still trying to figure out why Dean Elgar is still captain of Proteas after his flops and dismissal display recently. Well, fun fact, Ruth, this is the first test match. He is not captain anymore. Instead, Bavuma got captaincy and he was out for a second ball duck. Elgar managed to get himself 71 runs. Up for the video. That's a how's that soon. Shot. Although that sounded kind of hard on the bat. They've got the man out at deep cover for one. I think the Wellington pitch was perfect for Test cricket. Added everything for spin and pace in the match gone for full 5 days, says Coding. And it seems to be a rarity now for a Test match to make it to a 5th day. Unless you're playing in Pakistan, then it's almost a guarantee. But like anywhere else, like India, we seem to see day 3 and maybe day 4 if we're lucky. In Australia, when they were playing up against the West Indies and South Africa, it really made it to a day 5 scenario. This test match, though, maybe, just maybe, we might get to see a 5-day one as well. Just looking through quite a few LBWs. Bavuma, Peterson was out LBW, Bob Mayers, 14 off 50 deliveries. Then also it was Muthusami on debut, 3 runs off 13. And speaking of cricket, I signed up for it today in school. Made the team, says Connor. Good stuff. So you do end up enjoying it. What age group are you playing for? Or is it just a school team? I know that there's a first 11 currently forming at our school, I think, and they're going to be playing midweek games. So I might be quite keen to go watch them play, see how they do end up going. Kumar Roach, 1 wicket so far in this test match. And yes, there's Connor. Roach. The potential of being able to get wickets. If he gets it in the right spot, that is the right spot. Just outside off stump, slightly back of a length, getting Kutsia a bit of a crack at it. Oh, we're just seeing there Mayers, the most swing out of anyone. Gabriel getting the least. Holder getting the second most. Roach getting the third. So that's pretty much just how quick they were bowling. Actually depended on who was getting the most swing. Mayers, he was getting 1.75 degree of swing each time on average that he bowled the ball. And a lot of my friends play. I have it a go and I really like it, says Connor. So do you think you're more of a batter or a bowler, Connor? But it's one of those games that, I mean, there's someone in our team who's a perfect example. If you put hours into practicing and you really want to improve, you can certainly do just that. We had a young guy in our team and at the start of the season, his bowling, like, it wasn't the best, but at the end of the day, he had played like the younger grades and he was pushed up into this one. But he spends hours and hours a week just practicing his bowling. And he's got to the stage how he's one of the more reliable bowlers in our team. He picks up wickets pretty much every week. Also has managed to get a few runs with the bat as well. And a fielder, one of those two a bowler, says, or out of those two a bowler. And Hamish, let's hope the Proteas batsman brings some good stuff for the fans. My gosh, Bavuma out cheaply. Shocker, Elgar 71. What's going on? It's that captaincy. As soon as you end up with no captaincy, your cricket improves. That seems to be the trend for not just South Africa, for England, with Joe Root, for New Zealand, with Kane Williamson. It's so funny on every ball review. An appeal was made by the bowlers, says Coding. And yeah, they're going upstairs for a lot in that matchup between Australia and India. And as you will, because nothing's bouncing over the stumps. So it's just more of the line. Is it going to spin enough to miss the stumps or is it going to end up going through and getting them? I've actually realized there's a bit of a fancy tool that you can use on Sky Sport now. It's really loud in my ears, though. How do I fix that? I'll fix it by turning down my whole PC audio. Drag a video up from the list. There we go. Is this going to work? Oh, I got like a sports bar setup going on. I've got a cricket game between South Africa and West Indies on my left, India versus Australia on my right. I feel like I've just done something fancy, even though it's probably something very simple. That's quite fun, isn't it? Bring back John Cocking. Says Tony, "You got his name wrong again, Tony. It was Andrew Cocking. John Cocking, doesn't exist." And who's the pick of the batsman for you, Hamish, and West Indies bowlers? Pick of the batsman so far for me, I mean, Markram's been very good. Oh, there's gonna be original decision of not out in the India versus Australia game, but India didn't actually review, so they would have had another wicket. But West Indian bowlers, I think Mayers is my pick. Even though Alzarri Joseph has got 3, Mayers is just getting that ball to swing beautifully at the moment, and he's looked the most dangerous, I feel. Are you going to the Chiefs game next week? No, not the Chiefs game next week, I don't believe. I haven't actually got plans of going to any Super Rugby games at this point. A bit of time. Tell you what, we're gonna go like this. Can I drag whatever on Sky Sport 2 there as well? Yep. Okay, that's something else that I can't actually see. But by the looks of it, Alzarri Joseph, yes, he does. Picks up the wicket of Kutsia. Ended up pitching it just that little bit shorter. Kutsia tried to go for the ramp, and it's gone straight into the hands of Holder. Easy as you like. They're now going to be 8 down, dang it, says Connor. And also we have got there, hello, bro, says the cricket wheel. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Go like that and like that. There we go. We got it all set up so that we have got picture in picture. Jarol Kutsia to be going back to the changing sheds. Nokia now at the crease. Now, this man came back. We saw Nokia actually put in some pretty decent performances in Australia. He soon became a fan favourite because of his aggression, mustache, so he fitted right in with the Aussies. But he just has that little bit of extra something. And what is your next live stream, says Connor? You're already sick of this one. Either tomorrow or the next day. If it's tomorrow, it will be the matchup once again between West Indies and South Africa. If it's the next day, it will be the Super Rugby matchup between, I think, Crusaders and Highlanders is first. And come on, Crusaders, get your groove going. Get Richie McCaw back, says Roof. And also because I'll be chatting on it, says Connor. So Enric Nokia out to the crease now. Very handy individual, like I mentioned. And also we have got there cooking was a guy, the umpire called for Hamish's cricket game. Says Tony, he actually played in one of the more recent golf tournaments, I believe, in the area. But his name is Andrew, not John. I don't know where you got John from because we don't have a John in our team and they don't have a John in their team in the video. And John's cooking somebody, says Obi. Nicely played in behind it, Nokia. Like I said, we will keep you updated with what's happening in Australia versus India. Currently, Australia 39 for 1. Marnus Labuschagne could have been gone on his 4th delivery, but Jadeja bowled a no ball, which I'm sure he will be utterly disappointed about. Definitely if Marnus is able to get to a decent run rate. And hey, Tony, keep it clean like Stuart Broad. Yeah, Stuart Broad, he was bowling very well in the New Zealand series, but second match, the Kiwis somehow able to get themselves the win. Joseph almost chopped onto the stumps to Silva. Not able to get across to it, and it's a quick outfield at the moment. They'll manage to get through for 1. In fact, they get 2 for it. Nice work. And if Richie keep playing, it'd be better than every single All Black. There's kind of there. And Hamish, who is John Cocking? John Cocking, like I mentioned, doesn't actually exist. The person Tony's trying to refer to was Andrew Cocking, which was it was the person who the umpire thought was in our team, but it was Andrew rather than John. And also it was Sterling rather than Cocking. And an umpire was called or was calling for John. No, it's not John, it's Andrew. You don't listen, Tony. And Andrew wasn't moving. And then she just started yelling, "It was gold," says Tony. And Andrew, that's his name, says Roof there. Now Nokia, still out there at the middle, 2 runs off 3 deliveries. Just cut straight through the middle of them there. And there's no John, he's a phantom player, says Ruth. They're showing the replay 15 times of the one between Australia and India that would have been out. Perhaps Joseph can pick him up. It's gone over the cordon. Like almost back with a square. Joseph goes for 4 runs. Nokia gets it to the boundary, and that'll be, I believe, no, not quite the end of the over, just one more. You had to fight off waves of third graders. At the end of every wave, there's a boss fifth grader. How many waves could you get through? Says Jad. I mean, I probably wouldn't get through any because I don't think I could hit it. Don't think I could hit anyone really, let alone a third grader as my new favorite player. I mean, you can have him as your favorite player. He just isn't actually a guy that exists. But probably better that you have it as John, just because then it's not actually referencing anyone. Nokia, last ball of the over. It was a Yorker, well played. Keeps it out. And that'll be the end of the over. 332 for 9. Richie McCaw for captain of the universe. There's Roof. And cooking is such a so weird name, says Coding. Depends on where you're from, really. Like, you probably, I mean, there are a lot of names out there that some people would say are weird. Have you ever met someone with the first name Dick Coding? Because there are people out there with the first name Dick. That spun a lot in the India-Australia game, and Kiwi won, win, run, run. They did. It went right down to the wire. And we all love John Cocking, to be honest, says Tony. Sure, why not? Do you listen to these live streams on mute, Tony, out of curiosity? Or are you just unable to understand? Probably the second one, to be fair. Nicely worked away for Janssen, and it's gonna be just the single again. Winterbottom, that's odd. I mean, Maurice Longbottom in the sevens, making it a solid 3 waves, then the old lungs were given, and I'll be a goner, says Chad. How old are you, Chad? Out of curiosity, because I guess if you're a child or if you're slightly younger, it might be slightly more alright. But then saying that, why are you getting attacked by waves of third graders? Like, what have you done for them to be so mad at you? And, please someone name their child that, says Obi. Well, first you need the last name. I was on mute, Hamish. I can't take your abuse, says Tony. Then you're probably in the wrong place. It's gonna be whipped away nicely to the leg side, and that will be 4 runs again for Nokia. Moves up to 10. Oh, says Chad. And Tony, you had your medication yet? It's quite funny in a way because that's one that I swear Tony used to use on people. And now it's kind of done the role reversal of like 3 months ago. All of a sudden, we've gone full circle. More Yucko, welcome in. You're doing well. Nokia just using that wrist flick to hit it out mid-wicket way, and that's a little bit too wide outside of the off stump, and it's gonna be left alone. Even though Nokia did try and play at it, chances of him hitting that ball were very slim. Janssen at the other end, he's the guy who probably thinks he should be on strike. He's sitting on 23 off 41 deliveries at the moment, Marco Janssen, but he really isn't getting much strike at all. Still just the 9 wickets at the moment. Chad, not as old as Nostradamus, is Roof. Now Roach is going to be swinging across nicely to the leg side. It might have been a leg by, was it? Yep, it was indeed. A Nokia in the pad, so that will be an extra ball face for him. And now Janssen has 2 at the end of the over to be able to face. And Wayne was a good player back in the day. There's Obi. I mean, there's a few names like that, isn't there? That some people do have. Just thinking about some of the interesting names I've heard from people reading out or telling me to read out certain names. Plenty that I can't really repeat. It's so frustrating for the Windies bowler's tail as putting these crucial runs is coding. Yeah, although I'd say that West Indies to have South Africans out for less than 350 would be massive because they had 221 on the board for 1 wicket down. And then from there, they just kind of lost a few in a quick succession. But yeah, they started very well, South Africans. So for them to have less than 400 at the end of this innings, I think West Indies would consider that as a little bit of a bonus. Short ball, man, that was close to hitting Janssen in the face. That will be the end of the over, 338 for 9. And one of the commentators saying that it should be a wide. I think it only just missed his helmet, though. How short was it? Yeah, it could have been a wide. On just above the helmet. Oh, they're showing the one yesterday that hit him right on the gloves. Wouldn't have felt too comfortable. Then dropped his head, looked away from the ball. That's a very dangerous way of leaving. Hopefully, he is able to train that out of his system because if you turn your head to the ball, you're exposing all of that part that you don't actually have much padding at all. Windies lost their rhythm, Amish, bowling like my 60-year-old auntie. There's Roof. Alzari Joseph whipped off his pads there, Nokia. Once again, another single. As the West Indies pick up this last wicket, they will be out on the crease. Batting in these lovely conditions. I believe day 2 and day 3 will be the best days for batting. They'll have to wear down that new ball of the South Africans for a bit first, though, you would think. Now Nokia on strike again. Pitched up, swinging hard. I think that was dropped, possibly, but that will be a race into the boundary. And you look like Mr. Kane, is the cricket world, as in Kane Williamson. I don't think I've had that comparison. There's actually a guy who works in my local town, and he looks extremely similar to Kane Williamson. Like, I'm talking if he went to a random cricket match, he would probably end up getting recognized as Kane Williamson and have to constantly tell people, "No, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy from a smaller town." But the resemblance is almost uncanny. And how did Williamson get man of the match? I guess they had to find a Kiwi to give it to, didn't they? And they couldn't really. I mean, Harry Brook, I think, would have had a real decent shot, but England, for him to get it, I guess, had to win. They seem to have that system how it's got to be the winning side who has man of the match. But Brook getting 186 plus then getting that important wicket of Kane Williamson, I would have said was probably good enough to get a man of the match. Short ball, Nokia hit it, skew whiffed, and it's taken by Chanderpaul. Great catch from the youngster. And now Alzari Joseph walks away from this innings with 5 wickets. And it'll be the end of South Africa. 342 all out. I think they'll be slightly disappointed with that. The best player in the world says cricket world. Depends. What format are we talking? Cricket world, do let me know. Because I think I've got slightly different for each format. Do you see Australia playing well under Smith captaincy, says Coding? I mean, they're currently 48 for 1, so they're not doing terribly. But it all depends on how the rest of the test match goes, I guess. He's probably going to go all right. And I always say, I think he's slightly pulling the reins when Pat Cummins is captain anyway. Williamson just looks terrific. His good looks are enough. There's a roof and Ben Stokes. The roof there as well. Alzadi Joseph, 18.3 overs, bowled 91 runs and 5 wickets. India is the cricket world. Okay, what format are we talking for India? Are we talking T20, ODI, or Test match cricket? Because I feel like almost across all of them, there's 2 players that straight away come to mind. One of which is Jasprit Bumrah for his bowling, and another is Jadeja. But Jadeja is great in all. He's great in the field, decent with the bat, great with the ball, but he bowls so many no balls that it makes it so hard to say that he's the best. Because, like, even in this test match now, he could have had another wicket of Labuschagne if he hadn't bowled his no ball. And yeah, Shadow Ninja Ghost, welcome in. And also best player. Question says Tony. Although he doesn't play for India, does he? Unfortunately, Tony. Unless he does in your imagination, which seems very active today. As you can say, Chanderpaul, good catch, very good catch from the youngster Anjanarayan Chanderpaul. He will now be batting out in the middle. Like they've said, a lot of tape on the fingers. In fact, one of those fingers of tape are almost a whole extra thumb worth. Joseph getting his 5 foot. We have a little short changer. I am Bruce, says Ryan. Welcome in, mate. You're doing well. And Joe Root got 90 and 100, says Tony. And my best player, Jacob Oram, There's the cricket world, and also we've got there from Ryan, Bangladesh. Why you're not making Bangladesh versus England stream? It does start at 7, and I was still at cricket practice at 7 o'clock. So it made sense not to start the match halfway or like 10 overs into it. It just would have looked a little bit weird. And then also it goes till about 4 or 5 AM. So it wouldn't quite work out. And Bradman and Sir Garfield Sobers, 2 very good players. Good go with. Janssen actually remained not out, 23 off 43. He hardly got any strike today. We did see Kutsia dismissed, but he did manage to get himself a few quick fire runs. Same with Nokia. Like those two between them, 31 runs extra. So not too bad at all. Actually, only 3 players for the South Africans didn't manage to get themselves the double figures. And the best cricket player, Jacob Orme. Jacob Orme was very good back in his day, wasn't he? I remember what was the clip with Jacob Orme that goes around quite a bit. I think it was the longest over ever. Probably not that one as a good example, but very nice indeed. Amesbury, I think Australia will do a 90 lead. I think if they can stay only one down here, they're 52 for one at the moment. So, it's going to be tricky for the Indians, depending on how many runs Australia find themselves with. If they can get any sort of lead of like 200, it'll be absolutely massive for them. And JC Pretorius was great New Zealand players. Oh, sorry, New Zealand player, obviously not JC. JC Pretorius, I don't actually know where he's gone in the Seventh Circuit at the moment. I think he might have headed to a URC team, I think. Either that or he might just be injured, just like a few of the other South African players are currently for the Blitzboks. So some of their players are still playing, like of Impivizi. He did have his face mask on during the LA Sevens, but was still able to compete and almost got in a fight during the match. Did you see Williamson, greatest player or greatest test player for New Zealand? And will his record be broken by New Zealand player? Is coding. I mean, whoever it is, the benefit they've got is we've got a lot more test matches happening now than they used to have, but it's still an incredible record for test cricket. And I think it would take a very long time for someone to be able to break it. I don't see any of the current team being able to break it other than like Conway if he got into the team a lot younger. Maybe, or someone like him. Latham, how many is Latham on compared to Williamson? How many more? I think he's a few away. Did you see Grant Turner passed away? New Zealand football great, says Tony. I did not. Unfortunate. That's the thing. I really don't go other than YouTube in terms of setting up live streams and watching sport. I know nothing about what's going on in the world, which I feel like in some regards isn't a bad way to be because the more you look into what's going on in the world, the more like, I guess, negativity you find? Not in that case, but just in general. Like, you look up a result on Instagram of a rugby game, and the comment section's just abusing each other. So I was like, I'll just see what it was. And Hadley and John Reid were New Zealand's best. Was there from coding. Oh, sorry, not from coding. That was actually Tony. Said that one. Australia currently sitting at 53 for one as they sit. A good bit of spin on offer in India, as there always is. South Africa didn't do as good as expected. Exactly right. Like, they had a partnership of about 150 for their first 2 batsmen. In fact, the second over after we ended our live stream last night, Pats Ablaze, like, we ended up stopping, and then they got the wicket straight away. But, yeah, that second partnership, not too bad either. 221 for 1, I think they were, and then they've just gone a little bit downhill, South Africa. Which is ironic because normally it's actually that middle order that gets majority of the Proteas runs, whereas in this game, it's actually been the top order that have been able to do the most. You don't watch TV or news, YouTube has replaced TV in the modern world. There's coding. I don't think it's so much because I don't have access to like the news or anything like that. Like I hardly watch YouTube either, to be honest. Like I really get a chance to watch a lot of things, mainly because if I'm editing, I can't multitask to watch something and listen to what they're saying as well as what I'm saying while I'm editing type thing. And typical, had to do that to us. Is Pads Ablaze. Yeah. We watched them score 150. We're like, right, they're looking pretty safe. We leave. I get myself a glass of water, come back, and then the next wicket falls. The first wicket of Algar fell, and I was like, ah, well, that's very unfortunate. Unfortunate moment. South Africa, they haven't quite been able to get the total on the board that they would have liked. And I think that mainly is down to the fact that no one else really got themselves set other than Algar and also Markram. Oh, wow, Australia have ripped through India. They certainly have. India getting bowled out for 109 runs. Australia, as it currently sits, sitting on 54 for one. Could have had Marnus Labuschagne out for a duck. But because Jadeja decided that he wanted to bowl a no ball, he was called back to the crease. They also could have had someone out, LBW, but they decided not to review it. You're a nice, very nice gentleman. Are you from Sri Lanka? There's Tony there. Alzadi Joseph, they're just showing his 5 wickets. The first one was a bit of a rough shot from South Africa. Then there was the Bavuma LBW, which was plum. And it's straight through him. Bowled a beautiful York to Peterson. And then there was the last wicket he was able to get of Nokia, who was just swinging for the fences, Tony home from India. Cody. And even though they only took the new ball about 3 overs ago to prove effective in themselves, the wicket they needed. But now West Indies, hoping their top order are able to get a majority of the runs required. They can get this chase down in the top 7 or so and then just use the rest of their batsmen as the advantage setters. Be ideal, but it's going to be Craig Brathwaite and also Tanjin sorry, Chanderpaul, the youngster. Hadley best bowler, Martin Crowe best batter, Smithy best keeper, says Obi for the Kiwis. Chanderpaul, he actually had a very good run when he was playing in Australia. One of the only few batsmen to get decent enough totals. As we can see, his best was against Zimbabwe, 207 not out. The top of the order, his average is 69.67, 150, 100. First 50, he did actually manage to bring it up in Australia, and then he went out the very next ball. He played cricket. There's the cricket world. I do indeed. We have got ourselves a semi-final this weekend that we are taking part in. We have been filming the recent games on a GoPro. This game, I'm not sure whether I am or not. Not because I don't want to, just because we've encountered a problem with one individual in the team. And it's a tricky one to get round. Your country, very beautiful, says the cricket world. Thank you very much. Of course, got some great grounds around New Zealand. And we've actually got a video up on the channel of me batting. Now, it was one of my worst innings that we've got on the channel and that I've played in because I did return after a 10-year break to take part in one of those matches. But yeah, I feel like slowly getting better. Nathan Astle, best fielder, says Obi. I don't think we can argue with that, can we? Although Martin Guptill at times used to be pretty handy in the slips and out in the field, but Nathan Astle also very handy indeed. That one is going to be the dot ball for Kagiso Rabada. Will be bowling the first over for the South Africans here. Slightly back of a length for Rabada of the first delivery, which is quite intriguing to see whether or not it's what they continue to try and do. Charging in at the moment. Outside of off stump, just punched out there by Brathwaite. Looks like he might be able to get the 2, and they do. Nice work. Fielded by Bavuma, the new captain of the Proteas, and Obi Chris Harris. And up to for short best fielder that throw to dismiss Dhoni, says Coding. And he's also taken some really good one-handed screamers in the field. Full stretch, diving takes. Timber Bavuma. Very well indeed. Be another dot ball. Braithwaite, he needs a big total here as well. He seems to work quite well with Chanderpaul with the kind of young and the old combination. Chanderpaul, as long as he gets his iron early, he should be able to turn it into runs. I think you are sleepy, says the cricket world, only because I had my cricket practice a little while ago. Plus, we were still trying to catch up on sleep from last weekend with all the streaming we did. Now taking another single. Good work, rotating the strike. Oh, now that's actually hit the stumps. One of the bails has gone off, and they want to go upstairs to check this. This could end up being Chanderpaul run out without facing a single delivery. That would be pretty unfortunate for the youngster. And Jotty Rhodes with Richards and Ponting. Young word dynamite. He's Tony right. They are going upstairs now to the third umpire, Paul Rifle. Did Bavuma just nail it? So they take the quick single. My first reaction was he was safe. He's going to have to go, though. Gonna have to go, gonna have to go. Yeah, he's fine. Managed to get there. Good running between the wickets. And Rose was the best fielder. Says Obi, but sliding the bat along the turf. Then the bail came off. It didn't actually really rupture the stumps at all, just hit the very side of it. Knocked the bail off. Now Chanderpaul will take strike. Young left-hander also does similar step to his father, which is having it set up so that you're facing almost leg side and then coming round straight. And how's time? Says the cricket world at the moment in New Zealand. It is 9:36 p.m. as we currently sit. So it's not too late, but had a busy-ish day, I guess you could say. Iso Rabada once again just trying to flirt with that outside edge of Chanderpaul's bat. He has not really pitched it up to a certain extent. That one once again is going to be outside off, and which is the worst way in cricket to get out. Says coding depends on how you see it. Because as a batsman, I feel like one of the worst things to have happen to you is get bowled, just because, like, if it's gone through your gate as well, that makes you feel slightly worse. Or if you've left it, there's just little things while batting that you hope don't happen to you. Whereas, I mean, if you're at the non-strikers end and get run out, it's normally not ideal. Definitely if you've called the run through. Here it's 2:06 p.m. And if you felt it square leg, you need to be on target. There's Obi. And also we have got there day 5 is Tony. That would be the worst time to get out in cricket. Just showing the batting lineup. I mean, they've got some pretty decent averages. No one really dropping below that 28 until you get into about the ninth batsman, I believe. Marco Janssen, next South African bowler to take to the crease. 22 years of age, the left arm fast medium, over 2 meters tall. Now charging in to the crease. Oh, squares Brathwaite up straight away. Nicely banged into the surface as well, making it difficult for Brathwaite to pick it early. Trailing by 339, the West Indies. So I still feel that they'll be pretty happy with being able to restrict South Africa to that total and cutting run out opposite end. There's Obi. Oh, no shot offered by Brathwaite, so that will race away to the boundary, but it won't be any runs. Be a bit of an anticlimax there. Although the way that I went out in the most recent game that hasn't actually been uploaded on the channel yet, it's a pretty disappointing way to get dismissed. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. That will be out in probably like 3 months by the time I get around to editing it and have it all sorted. And Jadeja no ball could cost India the test match, says Coding. Yeah, I mean, they've let Mana stay at the crease. They also had that other one that they didn't review. That was a beautiful in-swinging delivery from Marco Janssen. Would have cleaned up the stumps, but Brathwaite was equal to it. Managed to get solid in behind it and get the ball out. I believe they'll get through about maybe 23 overs or so in this first session. I see that the scoreboard isn't updating. Hang on. There we go. We're all good. And leaving crease too early is a bad way to go down. Says Obi. To be bold in the head smash is super dangerous. Says Roof. That's nicely played off the legs, down the leg side from Janssen. Races to the boundary. This time the shot was offered. It's going to be leg byes though. Braithwaite unable to quite get the bat to it. But yeah, that no ball early. How many times in recent history have we seen no balls cost sides? Whether that is Jadeja's no ball just then, whether that is, I mean, we've seen plenty from the likes of a Ben Stokes, Neil Wagner recently bowling a lot of no balls. We saw that in the first Test match up against the English. Another one swinging back in nicely, but that will be not defended. Braithwaite. He's certainly got a lot of potential to stay out there for. I mean, I don't know about all of today, but a majority of today anyway. Ball hitting the helmet, and helmet hitting the stumps is a scary way to get out. There's going. I had a way similar to that, except not quite. I had a short ball bowled to me, and it ended up kind of bouncing into my helmet or under my helmet, hitting me round there, and I fell back, and then my bat hit the wicket, so I was given out due to hit wicket from a short ball. That was a little while ago, but yeah, not a fun way to go out. Not just because you're out, but also because you get hit in the process. 7 for none after the 2 overs for the West Indies. Braithwaite over 5,000 runs. The next highest is actually Jermaine Blackwood, sitting on 2,713. And then down that order, Jason Holder, 2,626 runs for the big man. 29 is his average. If he has to bat at any stage in this or the next session, it means that West Indies are probably struggling a little bit because Giso Rabada is getting that beautiful in swing, that delivery. And nicely off the seam, moving around quite a bit. And please fallen wickets. So he's currently 0 wickets fallen in this one. And if you're talking about India versus Australia, sitting 65 for 1 for the Australians. And bro, you play bets? I do not, mainly because I'm terrible at predicting things. No matter how much sport I watch, still can't predict anything to save myself. In fact, a majority of the time, if I predict a team to win, the other team does. Like anytime I do a sevens preview, kind of funny in a way because the quarterfinal match that Samoa had was it their no, in fact, sorry, their group stage match that Samoa in the sevens had up against New Zealand. It was quite funny because I predicted New Zealand to win and Samoa won. So then someone in the chat was like, haha, you predicted the wrong team. And I mentioned about the reverse psychology of when I pick a team, they end up losing. So then in the quarterfinals, I backed Samoa to beat Argentina, and they lost because I backed them, and also because they got beaten. But that person wasn't very chatty after that because they realized that me picking New Zealand wasn't so much because I thought New Zealand would win, but more because I did the reverse psychology side of things. It seems to only work with Samoa, though. Any other team I struggle with as well. Cricket World, yeah, we all on it. Says Tony. Also, we have got there Australia, India will end in under 3 complete days. Exactly right. And it's a shame because, like, it's such a weird tour to a certain extent. The pitch looked like it was like a day 7 pitch when India were batting. It currently still looks like that. Like some of the balls are staying low, others are going high. That's a beautiful whip off the pads there for Shundapul, and that will be his first runs of the day. Now moves up to 4. But he just like what? The pitches in India seem to be such 50-50 wickets at the moment. If you bowl and don't appeal LBW, team does the umpire have to give out or have to give it out if it's plum? So don't appeal LBW. Normally you've got to appeal a little bit, but like at least one person really. Like the umpire might only see the bowler going, was that out? Maybe a little bit more convincing, but yeah, normally the point of the appeal is to try and sway the umpire's decision. It's it, especially seeing the England New Zealand results, says Kai Bruman. So bowler has to appeal to be out a little bit. It's actually the case on Cricket 22 as well. If you don't appeal after they've edged it, they won't actually give it out. India pitches are pretty or are never good. Nothing out of the ordinary, says Zach. Currently, with that boundary in the over, it makes it 11 for none for the West Indies after their 3 overs here. On 4 off 8. Braithwaite now on strike, sitting on 3 off 10, so he has not got himself a boundary as of yet, but Marco Janssen has not gone for a wicket. That's a great cut shot, breaking through the field, and that will now be the first boundary in Indian pitches versus Pakistan pitches versus Sri Lankan pitches versus Bangladesh pitches. Hamish, rank them. What do you like? I'm glad that it's pitches and not something else at the start of those words, but oh, okay, so Pakistan pitches, I mean, it's a real tricky one because you gotta ask the question, would you rather see a test match end because all of the wickets have fallen, or would you prefer to watch a test match that you know's not gonna have a result because of the wicket being too much of a road? And I feel like to a certain extent, as hurtful as it can be to only get to see 2 days rather than 5, I think I'd prefer a match that you do see the wickets because at least then that way you get some action type thing. So I'd probably put Pakistan near last, to be honest, just because like you want to see results and you want to see wickets, and sometimes those pitches over there don't seem to have a chance. I'll probably go. I mean, Bangladesh pitches, they do make them for the spinners. Same can be said about the rest of the pitches as well. Sri Lankan pitches, I think, are normally a little bit more batsman friendly, just a tad. But I mean, if I could pick, I'd probably pick none of them, to be honest. Like, just for the sake of getting to see 5 days of cricket, like, that's the tricky part. Okay, say the guy on the boundary appeals, no one else says over. It depends how loud he appeals. It depends on the umpire a little bit. Like, the umpire for a run out, for instance, if the team doesn't appeal for a run out, the umpire may still give it out if it's out by a mile, because sometimes the umpire may assume that you think it's that plumb that there's no point appealing. I think, like, if a guy's halfway down the wickets and it hits the stumps, they're not gonna say, "No, he's not out because you didn't appeal it." The umpire's unlikely, depends on the umpire. Is Tony. I'll rank them coding, boring, 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 and more boring, says Zach. Oh, cut through him there a little bit. I think they might have hit him on the back thigh by the looks of the way that Braithwaite was rubbing that leg. Janssen, he's been a bit expensive here. He had a maiden in his first over and has gone for 2 boundaries since. In fact, sorry, not 2 boundaries, but still 8 runs in total. Yeah, that one's just smacked him in the it would have been the back leg. I don't think they give you a pad for that part, so that probably just smacks right into flesh. A little bit tempted to play at that one as it moved across him. I just said that, Tangerine Chanderpaul actually went by Brandon for a bit. Pakistan pitches are the worst though, says Zach. And there's a fast start by the Indies. There's better plays, and I like Sri Lanka pitches, or I like Sri Lanka pitches. They're a little bit fair, to be honest, says Coding. Yeah, I think they're out of all those options, they are the ones that still are slightly more batting friendly. And don't get me wrong, they are spin wickets, but you can still see a match go 5 days in Sri Lanka because of that little bit that they put in it for the batsman. Because Sri Lanka do have a very good batting lineup normally when it comes to Test match cricket, and that seemed to be the case back in the day as well. Is throwing your hands up in appeal, no sound, says Obi. It depends. Are you doing like the Nathan Lyon kind of like jazz hands, or are you just like that as if you're being arrested? So I guess that might make a little bit of a difference to the umpire's decision. But then sometimes shouting loud doesn't always lead to the wicket. I found that out with an appeal for a run out. And then I looked at the GoPro footage and it was, like, yeah, he was safe by about 6 inches, but I thought it was out. I got all excited. And you'd be lucky to see 2 wickets on a day on a Pakistan pitch, says Zach. And Obi only in deaf cricket, Tony. The session is over in the matchup between India and Australia. 71 for 1 is what the Australians find themselves sitting on, and they could have had Marnus Labuschagne out for 0. But instead, Jadeja bowled the no ball. Oh, beauty of a delivery again from Rabada, making it very tough for this West Indies Opening partnership here, Chanderpaul wiping the sweat out of his face. He knows it's not quite going the way he would have liked for the start of this one. They're extremely close to the off stump. I have a sore throat from doing the haka, says Obi. That's massively close. That delivery of Rabada, that was a little bit straighter, and it does square up Chanderpaul again. To work extremely hard to keep this ball out at the moment. For anyone wondering about Australia, they were able to bowl out India. Kuhneman got 5 wickets, Nathan Lyon 3, and Todd Murphy got the other. South Africa got this one, Australia got the other one, says Tony. Walker again from Rabada, getting it to swing nicely. 8 miles per hour. Rabada starting to steam in. I remember Chanderpaul being aggressive. There's Zach Hewitt. That's the thing. It's kind of cool seeing the second generation. Like they mentioned, our Brathwaite is a bit older than him by about maybe 10 or 15 years. And getting to bat alongside him teach him so much as well. Now, ball sitting on 7 off 14 in his batting. Yeah, I mean, if the ball's there, he'll hit it. We saw that when he was playing up against Zimbabwe, getting that 207 not out. Was going extremely well. Remembers that guy No Neck? There's Obi, who's No Neck? Mitchell Marsh, some people say that his neck's bigger than most people's, like, bodies. I think he's got a neck. Jordan Silk's got quite a long neck, but he's still got one. What's his name again? Says Obi. Not sure. Leading run scorers for the West Indies, Lara at the top of the list, and Chanderpaul actually just behind him, 11,867. If he had one more crack at some stage, Chanderpaul. I think he's in LA at the moment watching this match. And it's Richards, Sobers, Greenwich, Lloyd, Haynes, Gale, Kanai, and also Richardson with 5,949. So still quite a way to go for Brathwaite. And boy, we're cooking toasties. Are you? Are you using the George Foreman or your little toasty machine, George? Do let me know. I'm very curious. Have you finished your work? Oh, that was close to the off stump again for Janssen. All swinging around all over the place at the moment. Go getting Aussies. I want to let's go on hello, says Bracky Boy. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing well. And George Foreman. There's Obi in there. There's Brian Lara. Great man sitting in seat in the stadium. And yeah, just finished, says George. Hopefully the toasties turn out all right. Never have too much cheese, as you told me earlier on today. And if they've sealed the edges of the toaster, you're going to be good to go. You'll be able to fill the whole thing. Janssen, great and swinging ball. This is very close to a wicket breaking through for the South Africans. They just need Brathwaite or Chanderpaul to miss, which they haven't done yet. Other than the play and the misses, those have been very evident throughout the first little while. That list has some very impressive names. Cheese slaps. Australia dominating the test in India, they are. And I always look back at that moment. Jadeja could have had Marnus Labuschagne out for a duck, but ended up missing it. And who was the guy having a sleep? The row above Lara. Is that cute? There was a guy in there who looked like the guy from I know that he wasn't, but he kinda looked similar to that actor from Cool Runnings. You know that fella who was the coach of the bobsled team? Like, it looked like him. I don't know what that actor's name is, but I don't think he'd be at the cricket, and he also would be a little bit older than he is, at the ground. How's the game so far? It's been decent. South Africa, very good opening run partnership. They were up to about 220 runs with only losing 1 wicket, but then they did end up falling over near the end of their innings, losing a few quick fire ones, and it helped the West Indies, I guess, now have a decent enough total to possibly catch up to. It was better Lara or Tendulkar. I feel like they were 2 that are very hard to compare. At the end of the day, like, both goats of cricket. Wow, that ball moved again for Janssen. Even when he bowls short, he gets a little bit of movement off the seam, make it tricky for someone like a Brathwaite. Cool runnings. We actually had to watch that in year 8 PE, I think it was. I think it was supposed to, like, teach us about teamwork and whatnot, and then we'd go out and play a game with the mindset of we're supposed to be working as a team, and everyone would just not work as a team. So it didn't really teach us that much, unfortunately. All uppish, that was a bit of a nothing shot from Brathwaite. Doesn't carry through to Bavuma. George used to enjoy PE very much, he'll tell you, mainly because of the company in the PE department. John Candy says Obi, and also Sri Lankan, De Silva says Roof. And was it John Candy? Says John Warren. John knows John, perhaps. Johnson, last ball of his over, shorter, nicely worked away by Brathwaite to the leg side. Man at the square leg region, and that will be the end of the over. 22 for none now, off 6 overs. And they told that this series we telecasted on Hotstar, but seems that Fanco got those rights. There's Tipra. Also, what country is that for, Tipra? They have Hotstar fan code. Do let me know. It does seem to be weird at the moment because Bangladesh versus England. Another reason we weren't covering that series is they actually aren't showing it here in New Zealand, which seems a little bit strange because, like, England were just here in a test match. I would have thought that they'd show most of their games, but it seems to be the ODIs are the ones that normally get rejected from being shown on TV. Carter down the leg side, well taken by De Silva, who almost overrun it. Or in fact, sorry, it's not De Silva. South Africans, of course, the West Indian wicket keeper. Brathwaite currently going at 50 strike rate. Same can be said about Chanderpaul, just under 50 runs per 100 balls, trailing by 200, or sorry, 320 as it sits. Carter once again squaring up Brathwaite, and maybe the games went on at a good time. There's Zach. Yeah, and I guess if they've already got Australia versus India and also West Indies versus South Africa, maybe they just couldn't find a window. They thought no one was going to watch. There's Zach. Now, Brathwaite's still on strike. Key thing here is to just keep on rotating the strike for the West Indies. The line outside of our stump don't have to play. They won't if it's at like 2 a.m. So I believe that one starts at 7 a.m. for those ODIs, but they would end up finishing at maybe about 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. A bit of a similar time to this test match, and to a certain extent, that Australia test match as well. George, try cooking your hot cross buns on your foreman. Tell you what, that's an idea. Still here, you might see how it ends up going. Oh, Bolding! Rabada gets the wicket he's after. He's just been persisting on that off stump region, and that one skipped its way through. Brathwaite, the captain, gone for the West Indies, and that is a big early wicket for the Proteas. 11 of 25. India, says Tipra in there as well for where he's located. And Obi air fry, mate. There's Tony, but Rabada, the same presentation. And it just ended up slightly nudging that back leg of the West Indian Brathwaite. Oh, that's a peach of a delivery. Ended up seaming away, bit of swing inwards, and Rabada gets the wicket. And so you may have a good rest of the game to watch, says Brecky Boy. Hopefully we do see you in the future at some stage. Hope you have a good day as well. If it is daytime where you are, of course. Unless, of course, it's nighttime, then have a good night. Only mine broke the other day. Says over your air fryer. Fan blade came off. That sounds dangerous, doesn't it? Air fryers are normally pretty decent things, aren't they? They kind of came from nowhere. About, I don't know how long ago it was, but they kind of had the ad on TV, an infomercial that was like, look, you can cook without oil. And then all of a sudden, the world was like, whoa, this is something we've never thought of. So we've got to buy them. And now air fryers are just a thing. Everyone's got an air fryer. As you are superhuman energy, non-stop commentating Kiwi Lads Rock. There's Roof, and we have got plenty more coming this weekend. We've got the Vancouver Sevens, also Super Rugby, the NRL starting up. Might do a bit of cricket along the way. The URC, also in there, toasted bacon, cheese, tomato, yummy. There's Roof there. Become partial to a wrap recently. To be honest, a nice chicken, cheese, and lettuce and whatnot. Now going to be a new batsman at the crease though, Raymond Reefer. I think 6 matches played, 200 runs, green corn, butter, salt, pepper, go to. I haven't got a fan code subscription. I am a diehard South Africa cricket fan. Can't see live cricket on TV. There's Tipper there. It is a shame that they don't make this game free to air in certain regions. Do they have a free trial on fan code Tipper that you can like get away with like a 7-day free trial, watch that, and then cancel it before they try and charge you or anything along those lines? Rabada, nice movement of the ball there. Just ended up going away from Brathwaite. On a ball you hope you don't get on a Saturday when you make your way to the crease. And he's bowling extremely well to Reefer as well. He's just faced 2 deliveries, no runs off it. And Rabada, strong over, 22 for 1 now. And I believe there will almost be drinks as well. While we are in the process of getting to watch the replay of that ball a couple more times. Came in a little bit at the seam was very good. Presentation of it, skidded off, went away from him, and ended up clipping that back pad and then taking out the wicket in the process as well. That is the early wicket that they certainly could not afford to lose. West Indies, Raymond Reefer. There's Obi. I believe today I should mention, I think, I'm not sure. I think we're doing just the first session. We might be doing the second as well. I haven't really worked it out yet, depending on what time it'll be up for work tomorrow. But hopefully this partnership starts to build a little bit between Reefer and also Chanderpaul. Currently 7 runs for Chanderpaul. He'll be back on strike to Janssen, who has not given him any freebies whatsoever. Every ball has been on the money once again on the stumps. They're going to take the quick single. Well worked by Chanderpaul, keeping the strike rotating. And with this left hand and left-hand combination, both actually left-handers, it means that South Africa now will be able to hone in on that line, work out where they wanna be bowling. I think Janssen will be trying to get it to swing in and then maybe seam away from him towards that slip cordon. That ball for Rabada, though, he ended up getting it to go away, and it was an extremely good ball, almost unplayable for Brathwaite. He put the hands out, reaching for it a little bit, which also that's off the edge. Or is it? It might have been off the pad. In fact, for a Reefer, this is not going to be a very easy start for his innings. As Janssen's bowling well, Rabada's bowling well. The fact that they've still got Hendrik Nokia as another option in their bowling attack is a scary sight. One just moved away nicely, did end up hitting the back leg, the back pad, so no real chance of a dismissal there now. Janssen charges into the crease again for the Proteas. Pitched up delivery well in behind a for Reefer. They're probably the strongest looking shot that he's played so far in his first 4 deliveries. He can bat well. Hasn't had much time out there in the crease for the West Indies. He's got just over the 200 runs, 6 innings or 6 matches, in fact. This is one where if he really steps up, knuckles down, this pitch is a good one for batting on. You just need to get through those first few difficult deliveries, and then you've got a good cricket scoring a high total. Just ask Markram. Oh, that was a very late duck from Reefer. That was dangerous. He left it almost until the ball was passing him to try and duck and almost headbutted it square on. Carter must take 4 wickets, says Yako there. Oh, that's close. Hitting him in the back of the head for Reefer. Oh, that's missing by a small weekend tomorrow, says John Warner. I believe so. But we will possibly have a live stream in the evening. I've also got cricket practice later on in the day, so we will be missing some of India versus Australia in terms of when that starts compared to this one. Cricket practice should be finished by the start of this match, though, but it all depends on what's happening after that. Whether we have summer day 3 or whether we just go straight on some of either day 4 or 5. Marifa, 0 off 6. They're bowling a hard line to him at the moment. It might be quite tough to get that first run, but as soon as they do get that one, I think they'll find some more success at the middle. I hear they're going to be Justin Bieber is no longer coming to New Zealand celebration parties around the country. Is there going one in your town? When does it start? Says ZR1. There definitely won't be one in our town, mainly because our town has a very small population. So I don't think we'll end up having any Justin Bieber visits anytime soon. Nice boundary to close out the over, though, for Reefer. Got onto the front foot, drove it out through covers. Nice straight bat face. And it's the 4 runs. It's only really a punch, to be honest, but quick outfield means that you can get away with just sticking the bat there and allowing the pace of the ball to do the rest. And yes, there can be free 5 minutes viewing on FanCode, but that's not going to cut it. Is that all they give you for their free trial is 5 minutes? That seems very rough. Like, surely, like a 24-hour free trial or like a 7-day free trial, like a lot of other things do end up having. Take your GoPro. I probably can't take it to practice. There's even debates of whether I'll be able to use it for this weekend, unfortunately, for the upcoming match. And it will actually be the semi-final. Any other game that we've done with the GoPro lately has actually not gone too badly for us, but yeah, got one player on the team who's not so keen on the GoPro, and I think it's gonna probably mean that we no longer get to use it. Barter now, pitched up delivery again to the leg side. A run taken, and all the Windies players are 6'4". Are all the West Indies players 6'4"? Not quite. There's a few that are under that 6-foot mark, but they have still got quite a few quick individuals and quite tall individuals in there as well, such as Holder. The reason I say quick is some of their bowlers are a little bit shorter, but they still get that pace that some of those big quicks used to get themselves back in the day. Short ball, lofted beautifully out through the cut shot region. Are you playing Jesse Ryder? Is that why? No, we aren't playing Jesse Ryder. But I'm sure he's probably one who wouldn't want to be in a GoPro video, more than likely. It's quite funny though, because when I thought about a player or something to put over the top of the guy in our like recent video to try and censor him, I did think of Jesse Ryder. I don't know why, but that was just the first player that came to mind. Now, Chanderpaul sitting on 12 runs off 19 deliveries, a good start currently for the Windies, losing that early wicket, but these two looking like they're going to push hard through this tough spell. Oh, good ball again from Rabada, getting it to drift right across the left hand. He's found his line early, found some success with it already here. Balls left of the Rabada over. I will mention anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to have plenty more of the West Indies versus South Africa in the future. And Seb Gold has said, good morning, all West Indian supporter. Thank you so much for your commentary. Just discovered your channel. How is Chanderpaul Jr. looking? He's looking decent at the moment. He's had a couple really good balls. So I'm just outside of off stump. Once again, it's just that Rabada line, getting it to go across him and jagging away a little bit. So a lot of the time it looks like he's playing and missing, but really he's just getting himself set as if it's going to come back in. And then all of the time so far, the ball has rolled away. But that was a beautiful shot that he played to that short ball. Saw that he only had the man on the ring at point and just pretty much flicked it straight over the top in the air. Got the 4 runs for it. Oh, that one's hit him in the shoulder, though. That was a nasty ball from Rabada. He's felt that one, Chanderpaul. He's got a smile on his face, but I'm sure that in his brain he's going, that one hurt. Looks like he's going to be all right. End of the over. 31 for 1. A ruthless ball from Rabada, who didn't enjoy getting hit to the boundary earlier on. Oh, hits him on the back arm. That wouldn't have felt too nice. Or the left-hander. Yep, right on the bicep for that delivery on Friday Super Rugby. Yes, it is indeed. And good to finally see the South African woman break in the semi-final jinx in the World Cups. Hopefully that rubs off on the men's team as well, says Kipra. And big love all says Sebastian. Welcome in, Sebastian. You are doing very well, mate. Currently morning for you, so good morning, I guess I should say. Barter so far bowling pretty decently, getting that first wicket. Janssen at the non-strikers end. Don't be fooled by the fact that he's gone for 16. He actually bowled him, mate. Okay, never mind. It's Nokia now. Forget what I just said. Andrek Nokia, the big man with the mustache. A lot of Australians know him. He gets some good pace. That was uppish going towards the man at short leg. Didn't have time to react. One will be a nice quick 2 run by Reaper. Like they've said, Nokia can bowl with some serious pace. Sometimes get them down there at about 155. In 19 matches, 64 wickets in his career. Looking for a few more in the upcoming moments here. Charging in. He doesn't even really charge though. He jogs and still gets the amount of pace that he gets. 141 Ks for a jog. So many people would just beg to have that ability. How about those black caps? Says the flying pan man. Very lucky to some extent, you'd have to say, but very well done by the black caps to fight till that final ball was bowled. And yeah, managing to get a very close victory over the English. Good man, Ollie. Yes, there's Reno Sup, says Amelia in there as well. Welcome in. Nokia pitching it up again. You don't get a lot of time before it gets to you of Nokia's bowling. That one was played quite late by Reefer. Barter just practicing a couple of his cricket shots. Anyone who's wondering about Australia versus India, Australia find themselves 79 for 1. Waja sitting on 41 off 81 deliveries. Labuschagne 16 off about 51, I believe it is. And they could have had Kawaja out for a duck if Jadeja's foot was behind the line. But instead, it was a no ball and the dismissal was called off. Nokia running in again. One drifting a little bit towards the leg stump, so they will be able to pick up the single after the on drive. Just keeping it to 1. I still can't believe what happened in the second test. Proof that grafting pays off, if anything, says Sebastian. Yeah, the fact that it was Neil Wagner, of all people, who were able to fight back for the Kiwis after having such an abysmal season, or sorry, series for him. Like, a lot of people would have called it one of Wagner's worst, but then he was the heroics right at the end of the game, getting those few quick wickets and managed to do well. George wasn't very excited yesterday with the finish, says John. That's mainly just because George doesn't know, I guess, a huge amount about cricket yet. Oh, that looks close. That looks close. Beautifully bowled. Now, what do they decide here? It looked like it might have been drifting down leg side, so that might be why they don't go upstairs. The umpire gave it as not out. So if it's umpire's call, they'll retain their review. Do they go up for it? Avuma's asking. First decision as the captain to go upstairs, and he declines the offer. Thanks, Chanderpaul. It's been a fight like his father when this is a world-class attack. Nokia's run up. Look, it reminds me of the English pacer Simon Jones. And it just is so deceiving because when you see a guy jog in, you think, okay, medium pace, and then he just whips it down there at 145, and you think, well, okay, that didn't look like it should have happened. Same with Jofra Archer at the moment for English or the England side. He kind of just dawdles in and then flicks it down to 150. It'll be the end of the Nokia over. 3 runs off it, 34 for 1 for the West Indies. How should Reed prank Jonathan? Says Ollie. Well, it's a tricky one, really. Oh, it was umpire's call for that one, but it wouldn't have been overturned. Whereas if the umpire had given it out, it would have actually stayed as out if Chanderpaul did review it. So those are always ones that could go either way, but the luck for that one It'd go into the favour of Chanderpaul. And today we got the green light for the drum from the club to go ahead, and they've let Amy Park know as well because then security can't do nothing, says Amelia. Lockyer very happy, trying to get the crowd fired up, and he's always just a happy bloke. Like in Australia, he got hit by the spider cam that was flying round, got sconed by it, and then just got up afterwards. He looked annoyed because, as you would be, if a random flying camera hit you in the face. But afterwards, just went back to being cheerful and just like signing autographs for the crowd, and meaning he'll hear the drum on telly most likely, says Amelia. Some of the oh no, they've broken their back. Just talking about the young women who are on the screen at the moment. I assume that they've been able to take the day off school to be able to come down and watch one of them snap their bat. Always a sad sight to see when the bat snaps. I luckily haven't quite had a bat snap yet. I've had a couple bats crack down the side, but not snap, mainly because I don't bat for long enough, face enough deliveries for it to snap. That's the main part of it. But we're working on that. We've got a semi-final this weekend, a big one up against one of the toughest sides in the comp. And Tangerine matches father's performances. It's not an easy task, but he took to Test cricket very well. Quite an impressive start to his Test career. Definitely in Australian conditions. Like those are not easy for a man on debut. Beautiful shot from Reefer, just wedging it in between the gully and point, and we'll get himself another boundary. And we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Yeah, if he continues the way that he's going, like, the benefit he's got is he's got so long, like, he's so young. I think he's 22? I'm gonna Google quickly. How old is Tangerine Chanderpaul? I messed up and I said, in the middle of it, and now it thinks large, thick orange mango peach, tangerine assorted mixed. Huh? What am I buying that's large, thick orange? So I'm on Amazon and it thinks I wanna buy a whole heap of balloons. Okay, I'll have to just Google him, I think. Might be easier. Tangerine Chanderpaul. And the answer is he's 26. The man looks like he'd get ID to get into like a disco. Oh yeah. He's very deceptive with his age, I guess. And one more likely you'll hear the stockade on the TV on Friday, says Amelia, and quite a fan of Chanderpaul Jr. Are just as talented as his old man. Very similar styles as well. It's kind of like a throwback watching him play because you just see shades of what his father used to do at the crease as well. But last ball of his sixth over now. Showing there, well done, Proteas. You did us proud. Of course, the women's side doing extremely well in the most recent Cricket World Cup. Themselves through to the final. And heck yeah, they can. How's that? Is there, how is Tangerine Chuckadol? Damn it, I'll type it in. Yeah, I messed up big time in the middle. I said, and then it was like, right, you want balloons? That's the first thing it thought. Right, it's going to be the drinks break now for the West Indies, 39 for 1. Currently after the 11 overs bowl. We're currently sitting 40 minutes away from the first break in the day. Anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The West Indies did lose that early wicket of their captain Brathwaite, but other than that, it's starting to work out very nicely for them. My friends keep saying if we're loud enough and get them TV people's attention, and somehow we end up on the TV. There's Amelia there. I guess if you're all wearing Melbourne Rebels gear, then they might end up showing you on the screen as well. But I'm looking forward to this weekend, mainly because we don't have, well, actually, no, never mind. We do still have, I was going to say we don't have too many games in the middle of the nights, but we do. The only games that we don't have that we had last week is probably the 5:45 AM kickoff games on that Sunday morning. Instead, it's a little bit earlier, finishing at about maybe 5, and then we will get to have a bit of a nap before it starts up again. And also, we have got their serious question: are they allowed alcohol beverages at the drinks break if wanted? I don't believe so. Uh, yeah, I don't think they can. There's probably a certain rule that says you're not allowed alcohol or anything. It's also why you don't see players like going off for a smoke during like a drinks break. That's actually what one of our players, Muzzer, you guys know Muzzer from that video. He has a smoke in between the innings and in between the like drinks break and everything like that. But it's just unique to lower grade cricket, I guess you could say. New Zealand is one of the best test teams around. Such a shame that the ICC does not recognise this by giving them longer test series. Two match is almost an insult. Yeah, that's such a shame. New Zealand versus England is only two matches for that series because the third match would have been massive. The England winning the first one comfortably, New Zealand with it going down to the wire, managing to dig deep and get themselves a win, and then this third would have been the best one, I think. And no, don't get to see it, sadly. I've said on the phone today to use this week as sort of a dress rehearsal or like a trial and error based sort of thing is Amelia. Just showing that dismissal of the other opener, Brathwaite. It was a brilliant ball by Kagiso Rabada, just getting it to cut away a little bit off the seam. Great delivery. Maybe you get away with it in the old days, Nazi, but definitely not nowadays. Is Sebastian. And bit of whiskey, be bowling headliners. Nazi. Then the thing is, you're allowed, like, not for the alcohol side of things, but you are allowed a certain level of painkillers, aren't you? But then they'll probably draw the line at something like somewhere along the lines. You know how you see the players every once in a while popping a couple Nurofen if they've been hit on the finger or something? Sorry, that was very loud. It's very loud, but there was almost a wicket. Chanderpaul almost just lobbed it straight out to Muthusamy, who was waiting in the gully region. He didn't commit to that shot, and it almost cost him his wicket due to that. And he hasn't finalised. We were sitting for the Rebels game until maybe halftime during the Crusaders Highlanders game. Also not part of the World Test Championship. Very strange series, administration-wise indeed. Bastion and bring on some Karuba rum in there as well. Rabada, first 6 overs. He's been bowling not too badly at the moment. On for 16 runs, got the wicket. Nokia now steaming in. 88 miles per hour. He'll get up to 90 before too long. I got a fright. There's Nazi. Oh, when I end up getting excited for Chanderpaul. Sorry, I do that sometimes. I forget where I am, and I just have a little bit of excitement hit me, and forget to actually say what's happened. Instead, I just make a noise like just showing the wickets of Rabada. He's been very consistently searching for that good length, and then a little bit fuller every once in a while. It's a nice drive from Chanderpaul, breaks through the field, did get a fingertip to it, so it might slow it down a bit, but it's nowhere near enough to slow it down and stop it from hitting the boundary. Nice shot from Chanderpaul. He now moves up to 16 for his innings, taking over very nicely. We're still locating behind the goals, south end, but I think we may have maybe a little up high. Either way, I'll take photo of where we are sitting. Exactly, Seb. There's a classic example where a third test would have been ideal. Yeah, exactly right. Oh, the prediction that T. Chanderpaul will be out in this over. Although, does his name start with T? Oh, yeah, Tanjanarine, never mind. I was thinking of when they called him Brandon Chanderpaul a little bit earlier on. I think it was his nickname slash the name that he went by quite some time. So you think he's going out this over? He's just got off strike, 2 balls remaining. And also, I bet you 1 million rupees he won't be, but can't. There's Nazi, and also Xavier and I came to an agreement today that I would handle the social media side of things, like making match day animations and stuff, and Xavier's making the flags and the banners. There's Amelia. Our reefer on strike. Ducks underneath that one. In fairness, though, the English Summer Series against the Black Caps consisted of 3 tests, and it was part of the World Test Championship. Hmm. So how many of the English players are actually heading to the ODI series now? When's England's next test match now that they've finished playing New Zealand? I think by 298 runs at the moment, the West Indies. Been a brilliant start, though, to their batting here. 44 for one. This partnership's certainly building well. Brathwaite, he got a ripper of a delivery. He was a bit unlucky, but these two now starting to tap it around a little bit more. Nicely worked out through point. Should be 2 runs nicely. Yes, it is. And Kutsia does field it. I wonder when he gets added into the possible bowling attack. And don't forget to leave a like, everyone. Says Seth God, you're the man. If you haven't already, sure leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more of this test match coming in the near future. If you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Abandon the South African stand is certainly going for it. Now, that's the thing. One of the South African players, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Markram, didn't want to bat while they were playing music. Whereas the West Indies are just like, yeah, it's cool. Like the parties that they have at Caribbean cricket games, like it's an atmosphere like no other. And one day I hope that I can go to one of those matches because that would be absolutely incredible. Already made a few good ones. Made this like two-stick banner with an old Rebels flag by attaching another flagpole on the other side. There's Amelia. Looks like there we go. They're old Kutsia. They come into the bowling attack now. Got 17 matches, 50 wickets to his name. Next test is a one-off warm-up test against Ireland just before the Ashes. And the Ashes are getting closer, aren't they? It's going to be an intriguing series whether Bazball does manage to walk away victorious or whether the Australians are able to get themselves a win against their oldest rival. A test debut for Coetzee here. What can he do with it? Already actually scored a few runs with the bat, so that would have given him a bit of confidence. Oh, almost a Yorker straight away, but just a little bit back of the length, about full 2 meters or so away from the batsman and getting on the front paw or the front foot, done the ball, able to block it nicely. It reminds me of cricket practice today. We were using the bowling machines down at the local kind of cricket centre slash it's an event centre, but they have a cricket bowling machine. And a couple of the teammates, they were just setting it to Yorker, ball after ball after ball, which is all well and good. But when you're trying to train different types of shots, you don't really want to have to play Yorkers over and over. Plus, it just damages the bat. So I didn't get the best net session today, unfortunately. I did get smacked around a little bit with the ball. I've got a mark there, and I don't know why, but it's come out dotty. As you guys can see there, that's where I got hit by the ball. I had gloves on, but it's just like a whole heap of dots. I have no idea why it's dotted rather than just a bruise. Very confusing because like the balls we were using were like those like balls that you use in a bowling machine, you know, the ones with the slightly rounded edges and whatnot. But I don't know, it's just dotty. That was actually from trying to play a ramp shot because they were just consistently bowling full. So I was like, well, if I can't practice my cover drive or anything, might as well try a couple unorthodox. Smacked it into my helmet after hitting my glove. Ideal. But yeah, so far, 3 dot balls in a row here. Almost like you got hit with a golf ball. Yeah, it is a bit, but I had the glove on over the top of it. And yeah, it's like, it's strange. I want to see what it does tomorrow though, because like it feels like it's going to bruise. But yeah, just like 10, 20 dots in a row. Is that just how my skin is? Hi, all in the chat says, Beds of Blaze, welcome in. You are doing very well indeed. Welcome back, I guess I should say, rather than welcome in. Let's here. Keeping that line full. He actually wears a headband. Maybe been watching Stuart Broad. Good pace on the ball, though. How quick was that one? They're going to get through for the quick single. Taking it nicely. 139 Ks. That delivery. Well fielded by Bavuma in there as well. Only for anyone wondering, Australia sitting 90 for 1 after 26.5 overs. They are actually only trailing by 19 runs as the Indians were bowled out for 109 runs in their first innings. Marnus Labuschagne, he could have been dismissed for none, but Jadeja bowled a no ball. Kutsia, final ball of his over. Gets it up there again. Nice straight drive, punch down the ground. I think it's going to be caught by Bavuma. He's normally one of the quickest in the outfield. Slides, keeps it to two, well fielded. That'll be the end of the first over in Coetze's career at international level, 49 for one. But working quite well at the moment. Oh, 95 for one, says Beds Ablaze. That one, I guess maybe my coverage is slightly behind. Says it's live though, but we'll assume that they might be on a few more than I currently have. Although 5 runs, not much of a difference really, is it? In the whole scheme of things. Rabada leading wicket takers for South Africa. He's currently sitting in 7th. Got a wee way to go before he gets to Jacques Callis and a very long way to go before he gets to staying right at the top of the list. Pollock also over the 400s. Then he got 390, Donald 330, Morkel 309. He has passed Philander, less matches than Philander played as well, and a lot less matches than Jacques Callis. So he's looking pretty good to be able to go in, maybe continue building himself up down the leg side, left alone by Chanderpaul, although he did try and feather it down the leg side. Didn't quite get it right. Nokia still getting them down there at about 140 kilometers an hour. But Reefer and Chanderpaul, oh, making a good partnership building here. Need something similar to what South Africa had, which was that 100-plus run partnership in the middle of their innings, just to help continue the momentum. And West Indies, to be fair, if they don't lose too many wickets today, they will feel pretty confident that they can chase down this 350 or so runs that they needed. Nicely played again by Chanderpaul. Straight down the wicket and blocking it back at Nokia. But yeah, the big thing here on this wicket we've seen is once you hit about 25 runs, you're set. Until you hit 25 runs, anything can happen. And more than likely that anything is you lose your wicket. But if these two can continue building up, I mean, Chanderpaul's not too far off that 25 marker. Reefer's still a bit further to go. He's currently sitting on 15. In fact, if I move this, he'll be sitting on a bit more, is he? No, still 15. Moment, you trail by 293. We sit. Brave flat, just the one batsman to lose his wicket. It was Rabada's bowling. Was able to get him. He was getting the ball right up there in the slot, making it tricky for the batsman to be able to pick whether it was going to seam in or seam away, and also a little bit of swing on offer. Although out of all the bowlers, you'd probably say Janssen has had the most success with swing in this matchup. Nokia is very much a seam bowler rather than swing. And then by the looks of it, the man at the other end here, Kutsia, does get a little bit of swing on the ball as well. And it does seem to be the in swing to those left-handers. So normally to a right-hander would get that ball go away. You're just looking at the difference between Elgar and Chanderpaul, the way that they both play. Chanderpaul doesn't allow his arms to go drifting out, searching for the ball, whereas Elgar ends up pushing like that, ends up in very, oh, wow, that was quick. He's done well to get under that Chanderpaul, lightning fast from Nokia, trying to take his head off. 142 Ks look quicker than that, the way it skidded through. It was short. Chanderpaul saw it early, was able to get underneath it. Kind of ball you definitely don't want hitting you this early on. I mean, he's already taken one on the bicep that will leave a nice big bruise for tomorrow. This pitch that India and Australia are playing on is absolutely shocking, by the way. Anyone who was watching that test, the ball is bouncing about this high at times when it should be bouncing about this. So, don't know who made the pitch, but maybe don't have him do it again. This pitch, though, in South Africa has been very nice. It does look like it is going to be able to go possibly into that 5th day. Both sides continue pace that they are. In fact, South Africa actually was scoring at a decent run rate in that first innings at about 3.6, 3.8, something like that. the first innings. They are just showing Chanderpaul's technique. It is actually it's very good compared to what we saw for Elgar. Chanderpaul's head is all staying in line with his body, whereas Elgar was found reaching out, his head all not over his feet. Now, Klutsia charging in again, this time facing off with Reefer, who does leave it outside of the off stump. He considered the drive for half a second, then realised we're early on. Need to wear down these bowlers a bit more and get some of that swing out of the ball. That was a really weird comment from the South African commentator. He was like, currently 49 for 1. I've actually really enjoyed watching this so far. As if because it was the West Indies batting, he wasn't going to. Or because that South Africa only got the one wicket, he wasn't going to be. That was a beautiful ball, but it's actually been dropped by Klaasen. Even if there was a little edge on it, which I don't believe there was, would have been not out. But Reefer and Chanderpaul, they've done exactly what they needed to after their early Brathwaite wicket, which was get themselves set, find a partnership, and just keep on building it. That's nowhere near the bat. And that makes me wonder what was actually being appealed for because there was no signs of any chance of an edge. That one, but someone in the slip caught him. He was about second slip. Was very keen. And of course, we should mention Maharaj not going to be playing in this game. There are a few other South Africans missing out in this matchup. Rassie van der Dussen, not there. Also in the bowling department, Simon Harmer, another spinner they decided not to go with, but they did actually give Muthusami the opportunity. Young player, talented, didn't get too many runs with the bat. Actually, only ended up with about 3 runs off 13 balls or somewhere along those lines. Might be able to make up for it when it comes to his spin bowling, although not too many spinners picking up wickets for the West Indies. It was the Pacers who were getting the job done. Nice straight drive. That one, I believe, will roll all the way to the boundary. Bavuma, quick as he is, isn't going to be able to catch that one. Beautiful delivery. Reefer moves up to 19. Seventh boundary of the innings. Kawaja got his half century. There's Pedza. Yeah, I think mine's a little bit behind because Kawaja's still sitting on 47 for myself. That is because I've got it in the multi-view, so I'm able to see. Alright, we'll go like this, and we'll go like that. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Yeah, it's quite a cool little system that they've got on Sky Sport now. I didn't actually realize you could do this, but you can watch multiple things at once. Great drive, go straight out to the man at point, though Janssen. And have missed them by, I'd say, 2 meters either side would have been a boundary. Reefer's got that one right out of the middle. I'm using the scoreboard. Okay, so that might be why. That's it. Yeah, for me, Khawaja just now bringing up that half century. And Australia almost bringing up the 100 runs. India have a chance of losing this test match by a session and something. And dear me, India have better like badly. Sebastian. Of course, those are your exact words, aren't they, Seb? But yeah, they really didn't get it right. And at the moment, don't get me wrong, Australia have had some luck along the way, but it's nice to see them building up a good partnership. They just have to keep that going for when they lose their next wicket. End of the over now in this game between West Indies and South Africa, 53 for 1. The Windies are sitting. So the South Africans, I believe they were sitting 233 for 1 wicket. So there's a long way to go till we get to that for the West Indies, but I believe the West Indies lower order should be able to deliver more runs than we saw from that middle order of the South Africans. They just seem to fall over a little bit too easy at times. But that was down to some brilliant bowling as well, I should mention, from Alzari Joseph. 5 wickets, 81 runs off him off 18.3 overs. Now Nokia coming in for his 4th over. Chanderpaul plays it nicely. Thought about taking the quick single there from Reefer, but turned down for it. And yet they have. There's Peds Ablaze. Yeah, it makes the series interesting because I believe for Australia to make it so that someone else has a chance in the World Test Championship, I think India needed to clean sweep them, didn't they? So if Australia win this one, I don't know what that does in terms of World Test Championship points and everything like that, who ends up more beneficial, but I'm sure someone benefits from it. Another nice block from Chanderpaul, just doesn't allow that bounce to get over the top of him. Stays quite low when he's just about set, and then just kind of rides up with the ball as it comes rather than pushing, rather than, I guess, starting too high. Right, I'm gonna go play Terraria, have a good stream. Hey, Terraria is quite a fun game. I used to play that a bit on another fella's channel. We actually did a few live streams of it back in the day. Now, Chanderpaul sitting 17 off 41, moving towards a half century of balls faced. Currently for the young 26-year-old, once again, solid and behind it, not allowing the ball to go through. Good night, everyone, says Padsick. Not mate. Most likely see at some stage either tomorrow or maybe over the weekend. Plenty more this weekend as well, as you mentioned. I thought last weekend was hectic. This weekend, probably not as hectic in terms of sleep schedules, but it's not ideal. Noob versus pro. I'm definitely the noob in that scenario, as I used to just fish on Terraria. That was all I did. I was like, this is a great fishing simulator. Oh, was that the wicket of Chanderpaul? I think it is. He's gonna be gone. South Africa are celebrating. They might check this one. I believe it's gonna be going upstairs, but the on-field will be out. That might have just been taken a bat pad. Brilliantly taken. If Chanderpaul's on his way, that is a wicket that the West Indies certainly could not afford to lose at this point. New vid, says Pads Ablaze. New vid is in for me or for you? It's all right. TV umpire to director. Is this out? It was De Sorsey who was able to line it up. It was hit quite nicely to him, I thought, by Chanderpaul, but he kind of little spoon. Right. This is going to be a big decision. We saw an absolutely brilliant catch taken in the outfield by the West Indies, though, in that first innings. Bangladesh are all out for 209 in the first ODI. All, all it bounces. It's going to be not out. I don't understand how he's tried to claim that De Sorsey. It's bounced into his hands. It's gonna be not out. Chanderpaul not going anywhere. Use his Bezel Blaze. Bugger. Says Nazi, nah, that can't be given out. That is bounced into his hands, I believe. That angle looks different, but the problem with this angle is they don't show the ground properly. So you can't see the ground from that angle, but that clearly bounces into his hands. I'm surprised he claimed it, De Sorsey. Definitely knowing that they might have gone upstairs for it. Bounced. This angle shows it clearly. All bounces into the fingers. This should be not out for Chanderpaul, and if it is given out, I would be very sad for him. Ready to make the decision? It's got to be not out, doesn't it? Surely. Few sweet. There's Nazi. But yeah, 209, not ideal for Bangladesh. Ryan has already asked whether or not we were doing the coverage. They aren't actually showing that series here in New Zealand. Sebastian, I learned. Chanderpaul, 17 of 43 deliveries. His innings will continue, but Nokia almost got him. Man at bat pad. They'll have to keep an eye on that. The West Indies. Like they've just mentioned about the soft single or soft signal, sorry, how much of an impact it could have in them. Oh, short ball goes after it that time, manages to pull it away. Not very cleanly hit. Does get it down to fine leg for one. Gets him off strike as well. Just remaining ball one for Rafa. Should mention today, ladies and gentlemen, I bought a hard drive. Another one because I keep on running out of space. But this one was going to be for all the GoPro cricket videos that we were recording in the future. But now I'm not sure whether we are recording anymore. Seems that there's been a problem with that fellow who didn't want to be recorded. And now it sounds like the semi final, we may not be recording too much of it at all, unfortunately. But maybe from like a distance, he might allow a sideline camera. It's a weird scenario. Into the over, though, and it is going to be 54 for now for the West Indies. Oh, one day sale, Thursday only at Briscoe's. Me and George were talking about Briscoe's. because he was gonna get himself well, he got his George Foreman from there, but he was also considering getting a toasty machine, but he's already bought one. We were gonna buy a rubbish bin. That was our plan. And great store Briscoes is. I would love if they ever wanted to sponsor us or Rebel Sport. That's another store we went to. We actually got some discs today. There might be a video coming soon involving that. Now Kutsia back into the bowling attack. Uppish. It's gone over the top of the cover region though, and that will be 4 runs. A risky shot for Chanderball, but maybe just deciding that he was going too slowly when he almost got out. Decided why not just have a bit of a crack now. A few quick runs, put the bowlers back under pressure. Beautiful drive though off the bottom of the bat. Oh, it's Chanderpaul. Good technique as well. Didn't allow his head got too early, kept it down low. The ball there though, solid in defence. Kutsia seems like he's going to be a decent bowler for the South Africans. You wonder how he fits in once certain bowlers do make their way back into the side slash the selection process that they will be going through. Luckily, they've only got 2 test matches, so it won't be hugely tricky to pick because you just go off form in the first and then maybe a couple changes in the second or just one. Trailing by 284 at the moment, the West Indies. Not losing that wicket's helped them out, and they need to make sure that they make the most of that second chance. Down the leg side from Kutsia. 140 Ks again. Yeah, they've actually mentioned that DeSorzy may not have known if he had caught the ball in that case, even though it did look like a clear bounce beforehand. Like they've just said, you can't go by batter or fielder's reaction. In a regular like Saturday cricket game, that probably would have been out. Unless the Sawsey for some reason decided against it, it's up. Oh, Chanda Paul. He's gifted his wicket to Kutsia, who celebrates big time. Mathu Sami, the other man who was on debut, taking the catch. Chanda Paul just got a little bit overzealous there, decided to go aggressive, drove at the wrong delivery on the up, and does end up losing his wicket there. Now the West Indies going to be 2 down for 58 runs, and Kutsia picks up his first wicket in South African colours in the international game. Just aggressive shot from Chanderpaul. He'll get a phone call from his dad saying, "Oi, that's not a shot that I taught you to play. Not off that delivery anyway. It was just a bit too short for the delivery he was after. Got the outside edge after a little bit of movement in the air as well." And Mathusami snaps it up in the slip corner. And the other side of things there is, though, you think about what happened in the first innings. Blackwood dropping that early catch that could have seen Algar walking when he was on 10 runs. Catches win matches, and that could be the difference here for the South Africans. That had been dropped, who knows how many runs Chanderpaul could have ended up getting. But because it wasn't, does end up hurting him. Got ourselves an air break here in New Zealand. Currently only another 12 minutes left of this session as well, by the looks of it. Quickly going to load up my phone because I have a bit of a sneaky suspicion my Wi-Fi is playing up. Nope, we're good. Okay, it is all good. I always worry because there's a while where, for some reason, at night time, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it goes down to 1 bar and just keeps on ticking over at that 1 bar. Wow, you can actually go to Antarctica. That's a bit fancy. How much would it cost to go to Antarctica? Surely it costs a massive amount of money. And also, Shivnarine to Tangerine. Oh, Tangerine, sorry, that's not a chuntable shot. Being shamed to the family's names, is Sebastian. Yeah. It was just the wrong ball for it. He got excited when he got that other one out of the middle, I think. He was like, oh, this is going to be good. But now Jermaine Blackwood, he's got a good average, scoring 2,700 runs for the West Indians. And this is going to be a game where he needs a lot. of them as well. Nice pitch that delivery from Kutsia to start off the over. They got 4 slips and the gully for the Proteas, so they're feeling like they're not too far away from another possible wicket. And Australia on top 106 1. Yeah, currently Australia trail by 4 runs in that test match up against India. See that Siraj is now going to be replacing Ashwin, so going back to a little bit of pace for the India side. Nice work from Kutsia. Able to take that first wicket. Markram giving him a massive hug. Shorter ball hit him on the finger, I believe that might have been. For Kutsia, but that will be the end of the over, and it's going to be 58 for 2. So a effective over for the South Africans there. I will mention, I should say, anyone who is new, sure leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more of this West Indies versus South Africa test match. I think we're probably going to do something similar to what we did yesterday, which was we ended up chatting along for the halftime break. We're going a bit of cricket, but also just a bit of random stuff thrown in there as well. And then we'll see how we're going for the next session, whether or not we do continue that or we do end up only doing a certain amount of it. Probably depend on what reef is sitting on and whether there's another wicket falling for the West Indies here. But yeah, I guess any questions slash any topics you want to bring up at the lunch break, be sure to have them prepared. We'll have 40 minutes worth of chatting away. We will be doing, but trailing by 284 at the moment, the West Indies. Still a long way to go. 8 wickets in the shed, though, so still capable batsmen. They are just showing the difference between the delivery that Chanderpaul hit to the boundary. It was actually a different delivery as well. He ended up going round the wicket rather than over. And you know you're in trouble when your spinners can't take wickets in India. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be see, the thing I have a bad feeling, right? That Australia probably tomorrow are going to end up falling over in quick succession. India are going to set a big total, and then Australia are going to fall over in the last innings, and then India will win. I don't really want that to be the scenario that happens. I feel like the series, for the sake of it, you want South Africa, also not South Africa, you want Australia to win this one, just so that it, adds a little bit more excitement into that last game with the drawn series on the line. And I'm interested to know what type of pitch that they go with in the next one because they might go, hang on, how are we getting outspun on our own surfaces that we've prepared to try and allow our spinners to pick up those wickets? Also, Raj having a bit of a chat to Labuschagne there when they were crossing another match. So I think the tension's high at the moment. For India, a lot of pressure on them. Blackwood sitting on 0 off 2, yet to get himself a run. Arifa sitting on 19 off 31 delivery. And also, we jinxed Marnus. He's gone to Jadeja. Is he? Really? He just went out and checked the Jadeja ball bouncing to get wicket. So he's going, okay, so I'm still on the Siraj over. So I'm a little bit behind. I'll get to see it relatively soon. But that's the thing. Jadeja should have had him out when he was on 0. But he allowed him to keep on building in. And got himself up to 31. But Reefa, he's on 19 off 32. For me, I'm on 33.4 overs, so there's still a little bit of time before we see Marnus on strike. On the wicket roller. It has caused this wicket to look like a pretty good batting one. Not just the roller, just because of the pitch that they have created. And sorry, mate, I didn't know you were behind. No, it's all good. I don't mind about the wickets in that game. Just mainly because I'm able to see them as well, type thing afterwards. So it's fine. Like that's one of those cases where it's like, nah, it's all good. Because it just tells me to keep an eye on that little screen up there. Otherwise, I might have missed it. Because the setup I've got is South Africa, West Indies, pretty much full screen. And then there's this little tiny window up in the top corner with India versus Australia there as well. It's almost like how there's the call of look up when people feel there's something interesting about to happen. I feel like it's kind of like that. Oh, hit phone. That would have hurt. I think I reacted more than Reefa did. I started rubbing my hip as well. That would have really hurt. He played it off pretty well. It might have hit him on the chest protector, in fact. He might have been all right in the end, but if it didn't, it really would have stung. Where did it hit him? We're about to see it. For his sake, I hope it hit him a little bit higher. Tucks the arm. Where's it get him? Oh, no, it wasn't even the hip. It was on the arm. I wonder if his arm's got random dots like my hand. Still have no idea why it did that. Right, Labuschagne's now on strike to Jadeja, so I might get to see this one. Wow, I'm really behind for something that says it's live, isn't it? Partnership was up to 96 as well. Now Blackwood on strike to Kutsia, pitching it up nicely. Great straight drive, lovely shot. Way to shut down the straight full delivery. Just smack it past the bowler along the ground for the 4 runs. That wasn't that ball that got Marnus out. It's spinning a mile though, isn't it? You're 1 over behind, says Coding. Like for a day one wicket, it's spinning like it's what, day 4? No, probably more, day 5, day 6 of a test match, even though it doesn't go to 6 days. Like, this is looking like a throwaway wicket. Yeah, no, that went straight through him. It stayed low, didn't it? Nice ball, whipped off the pads, but goes straight to the fielder and close to Sorty. Almost got himself a wicket. Almost got himself a catch a little bit earlier on. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more of the West Indies versus South Africa coming up in the near future. Be sure to stick around for that. Yeah, that ball just stayed low for Jadeja, didn't it? So they're actually talking about for our competition. I don't think this is going to happen, but they were talking about playing the final at Arangi Oval. That's a great back foot punch from Blackwood. He'll get another 4 runs, and the only runs he's got so far are actually in boundaries. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, they were talking about playing at Arangi Oval. That's something our team said, not like the competition, but that would be our first grass wicket that we actually would get to play on. And I don't think it'd go too well for us. The artificial we're playing on this weekend spins quite a bit, which is good news. Congrats, my brother, for tomorrow's victory versus England. Great match, says Minnow. And there was, oh yeah, it was a match that went right down to the wire. And to be honest, could have gone either way throughout that last session. New Zealand picked up some good wickets, great work from Folks. But then just at the last moment when they only needed 7 runs to go out was such a shame for him. Like, he would have been gutted at that point. And then the fact that Leach was still out there at the end, but it was the man at the other end who ended up going out, Jimmy Anderson. And like one of my teammates today was saying, if Jimmy Anderson got a little bit more bat or glove on that, that's 4 runs down the leg side. England win the test match. But because he only got that feather on it, what helped New Zealand out, that was a nice ball from Coetzee. He's starting to wind up a little bit. He's an angry looking man. Doesn't like getting hit to the boundary, obviously. There's not many fast bowlers do. 88 miles per hour for the speed of that one. I guess a question for everyone watching now. This is a question that may become relevant at some stage, or it also may not. In fact, we've got 2 minutes to the lunch break. I'll ask it during the lunch break. Will make more sense. Blackwood sitting on 8 off 7. Which wicket you can survive? Fast wicket or spinning wicket with the help of your defence and cricket training, says Cody. I'm probably better on a, like, I've gotten used to artificial just because the bounce is normally pretty true. So you can understand that if it's short, you can play off the back foot. If it's pitched up, should be able to play off the front foot. Whereas, the like spinning wickets, we don't really play on too much, only because we are on artificials, but some do spin a bit. Although I haven't really faced too much spin, although on one of my innings, which aren't up yet on the channel, you will see I faced a bit of spin. And it may or may not have gone badly. I believe this will be the last over of the session. South African supporters in attendance for this matchup by the looks of it. Australia currently sitting on 108. for 2. So they trail by 1 run as we currently sit. Wagner put his heart out. Such a committed cricket. No IPL, no ODI, no T20. And plays his test with all his heart out, says Minnow. Although you can kind of see within but with England slightly attacking him, you could see that he didn't know how to handle someone actually being aggressive towards his bowling. So I see why he doesn't play the shorter formats and prefers test match cricket. But yeah, he's always going to give you 110%. Even when he's bowling badly, he'll still steam in and try his best to find the wickets. And he was able to find quite a few of them in that final innings. Helped Kiwis over the line. Nokia, 5 overs in a row. Marnus Labuschagne in that Australia versus India game already has a laptop watching the replay of what he did wrong. 11:59. In fact, now it's just ticked over to 12 PM local time. Nokia charges in again, just outside off stump, lofted a little bit from Black. We're going at it quite hard. Did Wagner not play Black Cats and ODI, or was he? He was dropped. He used to, but he eventually ended up getting dropped. Slash, he didn't want to play ODI anymore. And I still dropped Wagner. Yes, he got their last wicket of Jimmy, but he's broken some negative records throughout the series. Extremely expensive. I was surprised when he was selected, to be honest, for the second test match. Like, I thought Blair Tickner would have had a real good crack of being selected, but they instead went with Wagner. Maybe for that left hand is the only thing I can think of. Oh, a bit of a yes, no. Janssen might have hurt his finger in the process. Looks like he's holding it. Hopefully, he hasn't dislocated it. He might need that later on. I think it is his bowling hand. Trying to hide it at the moment, but must not have felt too nice. But one thing I learnt today was that my cricket shoes that are also designed for hockey, but they're also cricket shoes, they're actually very good in terms of stopping you from getting sore toes. Because I got smacked clean on the big toe, didn't even feel it. Like the shoe just absorbed it. I don't know what type it was, but it was better than a fella that we played up against on the weekend. Because one of our bowlers bowled a Yorker, and I think he said that his toe was broken. It's going to be a great shot from Blackwood. Once again, just straight through. Beautifully played. Back foot punch. So who's New Zealand's next test match? I think it's Sri Lanka, isn't it? And he's there because Trent Bolder's gone, but I reckon they'll find a replacement for Wagner soon enough. Blair Tickner, for instance, was pretty decent in the first test. There's Sebastian. Yeah, with how expensive Wagner was, like I said, I thought he was gone for the second. And when he was selected, I was quite surprised. And I guess they've selected him for that seniority and the experience things, but that is something that in the past, for certain sides has actually backfired for them. So you hope he has a better series wherever they play next. I think, yeah, up against Sri Lanka, he should be all right, mainly because Sri Lanka will be nowhere near as aggressive as England were. Actually, a very nice delivery there from Nokia. Getting the ball to almost kind of seam and go forward. What's that called? It's a top spinner, but it's not because it's a pace bowler doing it. And should play now because he just have 1 year left. Serving for New Zealand cricket. Oh, peach of a delivery for the final ball of the session. End of it. 71 for 2. Wow, our scoreboard's really behind. I apologise about that, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. 71 for 2. Currently at lunch, West Indies trail by the 271 runs. Nokia bowling 6 overs, going for the 14. Kutsia going for 20 off 4 overs, but was able to pick up that wicket of Chandapal. Might be a very handy one indeed. This lunch on day 2 of this test match. And who doesn't know, South Africa, they were able to get 342, the leading run scorer for them, Markram, followed by Elgar. Elgar able to get a half century in his first test since becoming captain. And then, unfortunately, the new captain, Bavuma, ended up losing his wicket very early. More of an indicator that his time might be up, if you ask me, says Sebastian in there as well. He's getting a little bit long in the tooth, the Kiwis, isn't he? Like Southey at the moment, it was a couple of years ago, though, that people were like, oh, Southey's starting to get a little bit that way. He's been able to fire back all right. but it's still probably gonna be the case of sooner rather than later, we do see Wagner eventually taken out of the picture, and then they'll possibly switcheroo him a little bit. Right, I'm gonna drag Sky Sport 1 there, drag Sky Sport 3 there. There we go. Now our main screen is showing Australia versus India. Siraj bowling. Sometimes spinners taking wickets on this turning wickets feels like they are taking wickets because the pitch is not telling of the spinner true. Like, that's the thing. If the ball's supposed to bounce this much and it's skidding through this high off the ground and getting the wicket, like, yes, they'll go, "Oh, I put it in the right place, saw that rough patch." But it's like, yeah, but you also just, you're on a wicket that is gifting you those extra dismissals and getting a lot more. How's that? Says Mark and Cole Jamison needs to come back once he does. That's Wagner gone, surely. Unless they look for a left armer for the Kiwis, and then in that case, who would you go with? Who's our next left arm bowler? I don't think we've really got one, do we? Other than Wagner. Jamison's right, Southey's right, Tickner's right, Kugeline's right. Um, Ferguson, if he ever made it back to Test, he's also right, I believe. Yeah, we're lacking a lefty, but then not in the top order. I think we've got Conway. Does he bat left-handed? I think he does. He's a weird one. I think he was. Latham bats lefty. Um, who else at the top of our order? Blundell's right-handed. Oh, that was a nice ball. Steve Smith nods his approval for that one. But yeah, the question I was going to ask you guys is, of course, ideally GoPro footage out in the middle would be best form of cricketing video for us, having those different angles and whatnot, but having the GoPro on the helmet. In the next game, it may be very tricky to be able to do so. Like I mentioned, the fella doesn't want to be filmed, and it's going to be very hard to juggle it around him. So I was wondering if a sideline, like that far away camera that you see sometimes, would you watch a video of it from that angle, or do you think it would be not really worth it to watch it from that far away type thing? Because of course, ideally, I'd love to have the GoPro, but it does seem like unless we can come to some sort of arrangement, that I think I'm gonna have to try and maybe negotiate a practice tomorrow, see whether or not I can find some sort of way of being able to do it. Yeah, unless there's some sort of arrangement organized, I think it would probably only be that far away camera that we're allowed. And one, that made debut in India T20 series was left-handed batter or left-handed bowler, says Coding. Who was that? Trying to think back now. Oh, that stayed extremely low as well. This pitch is terrible to watch at the moment for India, Australia. The ball's just not bouncing. And Windies need that flair of magic, some more boundaries. Ben Lister. There's no alternative, I guess. This bloke doesn't want to appear on camera, says Sebastian. Yeah, because the thing is, we've managed to ooh, we've got it to the stage how I've actually made like I had a picture made to go over the top of him, and it will motion track where he is and just have that picture of like a different character type thing. So that would be fine, but it's more of him saying that the reason he goes out playing dumb shots is because he's thinking of the GoPro, even when he's not being filmed. He said that that's the reason he went out. So, like, pretty much just an excuse of why he wasn't batting well. But it's tricky because the thing is, we're up to the semi-finals as well. So we've actually done very well this last couple games to be able to get to that point. I feel like it would be quite a cool journey, even if it wasn't so much for the YouTube channel, even if it was just for the team to be able to look back at and go like, "This is what we were able to do," even though we didn't go that well in our previous, like, 40 over competition, now being able to get closer. And this one, I feel like it would be quite a special one to be able to have as a team rather than, like, too much else. That makes sense? Larger. 54 at the moment, 122 deliveries. Have you ever hit badly by the ball during cricket training? Cricket training, not too bad. Like, today's probably one of the worst blows that I've had in training, which was when I tried to play a ramp because the fellas who were in charge of the bowling machine weren't really helping with training. It was just they'd bowl Yorker after Yorker after Yorker after Yorker after Yorker, just to pretty much make you either break your bat by trying to stop it or just you end up hesitantly playing it and then you end up getting bowled and they think, "Oh, that was good, we'll bowl another Yorker." So I ended up trying to ramp one and I ended up ramping it up, hitting my hand, which is now dotty for some reason. I don't know why, but there's like a line of perfect dots on there, and then I smacked it into my helmet, but, like, it didn't hurt. It was just probably it looked the worst out of any injury, but then, like, in a match, the worst one I actually mentioned earlier on, which was that short ball that I got that hit me up in there, and then I ended up falling down and hitting the stumps with my bat. How much tennis ball cricket you played? Only, like, the casual, like, backyard cricket or anything like that, like, we haven't really used too much tennis ball stuff. Or although Nathan Lyon, that's all he does in training is tennis ball cricket. You're playing in the final, the Canterbury Kings, says Sebastian. Well, wouldn't it be quite the game? I've heard a rumor about the team that we are playing in the semi-final, though, and that rumor is they have had a few players, good players, that haven't been playing in this competition up till this point. They've been giving, like, other guys a go, and now that they're in a semi-final, they're bringing all those guys back and, like, getting rid of the guys who got them to that semi-final, which is a bit of a like, not really the spirit of it, is it? If, like, those young guys have managed to get them through, they should at least let them play. But I think they're getting guys to come back who used to be playing in the old competition when they were doing well, and also, I think they've got a couple guys from the grade above us who are gonna come in and also play. So, it may be a one-sided affair, but getting to the semi-final to the point that we have, I feel like I'm more than proud of what our team has done. We went from not losing any games in the 40 over competition before Christmas to now somehow like getting through to the semi-final in a competition with 6 teams as well. So that means we actually had to win some games to be able to get there. And you guys will get to see that on the GoPro some stage soon. I'll show you a little preview, not of the cricket, but of an emoji that we've made to cover that man who doesn't want to be in the footage. I worked with someone who was a bit of a designer. They're very skilled at what they do, and all I'm gonna show is a very brief little second of this man, because I was gonna go with for a start, I was gonna go Peter Griffin, then I was like, "The guy will get offended at that somehow." So then I was gonna go with Patrick Starr, and then I thought, "Nah, he'll get offended at that as well." So, in the end, you will see the return of someone who's been on the channel in the past, someone who's had an emoji made of them as well, and that is Cricket Kieran. He's up in the corner there. He's very small at the moment, just because that is where I did decide to put him. But that is going to be the emoji type thing that goes over the top of the guy anytime he's batting at the non striker's end or when he's in the field. And I just have to pretty much go frame by frame and keep on moving it so that it stays where he is. I think I mentioned it on another one. It's going to take like probably an extra 20 or 30 hours of editing just to make it happen. But if it keeps one guy happy, I guess it's kind of what you got to do, isn't it? So yeah, it's cricketing Kieran. He's had a little bit of a trim up compared to the original Kieran emoji, which is this one. It's changed into our Waimeti kit, and he's ready to have a bat. So he will be popping up in the future ones as well. It'd be a laugh though. You lads prepared yourself to bowl, and Tom Latham and Henry Nichols walk out as the opposition's openers. Yeah, we'd just that would be. I mean, it would be a lot of fun to be fair, getting to face those two. It wouldn't be fun in terms of the fact that they'd score like 400 against us, but like it's it's cool the people you get to meet. I never used to be a very chatty guy at cricket, mainly because it was 10 years ago and I was still quite young and shy. But, like, last week, I was chatting away to one of the guys who we played the week before, finding out what was happening for them. I was talking to their coach as well, who we had played the week before, chatting to both umpires while I was batting and fielding, and just pretty much just learning a whole heap of what's happening in the competition, who's the players who are doing well, and like everything along those lines. And I feel like it's quite cool now that I can slightly talk to people without being so awkward. Still awkward, but less awkward, so it's not as bad. But like one of the guys for Pleasant Point who used to be in the competition, I don't know if he's still playing for them. He actually plays for the New Zealand under 60 or the New Zealand over 65 side that tour around the world. I think he played matches in South Africa or somewhere around there. They actually went way overseas to play in the New Zealand over 65 competition, and we will get to possibly play against them. So I feel like that's going to be a very awesome opportunity. Yes, he might score a whole heap of runs against us and maybe bowl us a few times, but still in the process, I feel like it will be quite a cool one. Australia, they're currently actually sitting with a bit of a lead over the Indians as we sit. Currently, Australia leading by 6 runs in the comp, or in their test match, I should say. Yeah, it's kind of lucky though that I've got 2 matches worth of filming done. It's just that they are taking a long time to edit, and one of them actually has 3 camera angles, so that is why that one's taken so long as well. But there's some great footage there, like, I love looking at it and just seeing, like, that's our team out there in the middle, like, and doing decent as well. Like, it's great that one of our teammates who hadn't scored a run in any of the games leading up till this point, I don't believe, and he's still very young, and I feel like I've slightly taken him under my wing a little bit. Like, I'll give him throwdowns in the nets even when he's finished his batting up against our bowlers and just work on some of his shots. Like, he got himself 1 run the other week, and when he did, I was very happy for him, and then he managed to get himself 7 the week after and almost hit a boundary, and I was extremely happy with him. And now, like, his bowling's come a long way too, so he's getting wickets each week, and he's absolutely loving it. But sadly, he's not playing this weekend, so we won't get to see him in action. He dismissed Nichols after a 400-run partnership to make the score 400 for 1. Daryl Mitchell walks out at 3. You just walk off, wouldn't you? Who's our bowler who just like, we've got some older experienced bowlers who would try and go line and length, but if you got those guys batting, they're just gonna swing anyway, aren't they? Those some good totals. I should mention there was actually an experience I had while playing South Canterbury representative cricket a wee while ago, which involved me actually picking up the wicket of a guy who now plays for the Otago Volts. You guys may have heard of him. It's Louis Johnson. Don't know whether you've heard that name before, but he's been picked up by the Otago Volts kind of recently. I think it was Louis Johnson anyway. And there was also another guy, Otago Volts. Nathan someone, I think, was the other guy. Nathan Smith. Yeah, he was the other fella. Or 1998. So pretty much in one game, I picked up the wicket of Louis Johnson, who was an old guy, or not an old guy. He's about my age. But the irony of it was I got him out on about 98, and he was one of the players in my under eights rugby team that never passed the ball. You guys would have heard me mention that story quite a few times. The 9 or 10, and he was the 9 in that scenario, and he would never pass the ball. So getting him out on 98, I feel like was a little bit of a nice feeling for myself. But then this other fella, Nathan Smith, who you guys may have heard playing for the Otago Volts, I've actually also dismissed him in that same match. Like, they were whacking us round. I think they won that match by a couple hundred runs. But I also got him out on about 135. And the part of it that's kind of a little bit more cool is the fact that Cullen Grace, Crusaders player, ex teammate of mine now in South Canterbury and also ex All Black, he was the one who took the catch. So everyone in that game went on to play either for provincial New Zealand competitions in cricket or for the All Blacks in rugby and Crusaders in rugby and whatnot. and I sit in my lounge talking about those guys. But I feel like I probably have more fun. So it's a weird circle that you find yourself in sometimes. But yeah, everyone in that situation, Louis Johnson, Nathan Smith, Cullen Grace, all have represented provinces. Fun little fact there. That story was about a 5-minute one, wasn't it? It was actually halfway through the lunch break at the moment. Just talking about the West Indies, 71, 2 at the moment. Australia with a nice lead, 119 for 2 as well. Quick spin bowling, 98 Ks at the moment from Axar, but he always does go quite quickly. Patel, the way that he whips them down. Yeah, so big match this weekend for ourselves in the cricket. We won't be missing any live streams, though, I don't believe, and I won't have to leave the game early to get through it. The first live stream on Saturday will be at 7 p.m., although we've also got a couple morning live streams that we may also be doing with the sevens now that Toronto or Vancouver has announced their draw. So we might be doing a few of those early morning streams first and then jumping into playing cricket about 6 hours, somewhere around there we will end up playing for, and then be straight into the Super Rugby matchups. In fact, Super Rugby on Friday at 8 or 7. I think it might be 8, but then 7 might also be the case. I'm just gonna quickly check my phone, see what I can find out. So the Saturday, the evening game of Super Rugby is at, yeah, 7:05. Moana Pacifica versus the Chiefs, and then it's actually the Sunday game that I believe is an 8 p.m. start, or not. Super Rugby Pacific Blues versus Brumbies at 4 p.m. Oh, no, that's on Sunday. Never mind, hang on, I might be on the wrong day. Yeah, I was. The Crusaders Highlanders on wait, no, Saturday's the day that I'm playing cricket, isn't it? Never mind. Yeah, so 7:05. Sorry, my brain went blank there for a second. I got confused. So we should be home by then. The 7:05 matchup between Moana Pacifica and the Chiefs, a game that we actually got to see in preseason between sides. Nonetheless, I don't think we're too far off the end of this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We have been going for 2 hours, 22 minutes. We've got plenty more content coming up in the near future for cricket. We may have some of this test match tomorrow. More than likely, it will be from the second session onwards for that one. I believe it's going to be where the schedule allows with our practice for cricket. And then also, I think, might be taking my dad fishing. I've been fishing with him in a little while, so I think I'll take him out for a bit of a fish. Yeah, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the live streams that we've had for cricket. It's great to have it back because even though we've done so much rugby, the cricket ones are probably the ones that we get to know people just that little bit more due to it being so much, I guess, gappier or more time in between balls and overs to be able to discuss everything that is happening in the world of sport and whatnot. Yeah, nonetheless, it is going to be the end of this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I hope to see some of you back maybe for that next one. And also for the weekend where we have got Super Rugby, NRL, Six Nations is not taking place, but the URC will be continuing. Also, the Vancouver Sevens going to be taking place alongside those ones that I mentioned as well. And we're also going to be trying to cover some of the test match throughout that weekend and maybe some of the shorter format matches that are taking place. I really want to find a way of doing the John Jones fight. And if we can't do it due to overlaps, which I think unfortunately there is an overlap there, hopefully we still get to see a decent fight between him and Cyril Hahn. Nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, and I will see you all for the next